Hey everybody, I'm getting a lot of requests to re-upload a lot of my older videos, and I'm not going to do that per se. I'll probably revisit some of the older topics that I did videos on and redo them. I think I can do a much better job, with probably a few exceptions. One of them being the video you're about to watch. This was a series that I did a few years ago, and it was pretty difficult for me to do because some of the things I talk about in that video I'd never spoken to anyone, or nobody knows any of that stuff. My wife didn't even know a lot of the things that I revealed in that video, or in this series. So you have to keep in mind they're 10-minute segments, because that's back when there was a 10-minute time limit on YouTube. And you know, just emotionally, I don't know if I could sit down and do it again. It was just something I just decided I was finally going to sit down and do it. I did it, and it's over with. So hope you enjoy it. Okay, Growing Up Fundie Part 2. The first video I did, I didn't mean to do a series. The first video I did was kind of trying to put out there that, you know, yeah, I did have a lot of bad things happen to me. But that's not what turned me into, you know, not believing in God anymore. And that really didn't come into play until, you know, years later, and I could look back and, you know, now I look back at it as, you know, stupid bad things happened to me. But at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal. Or so I thought. So a lot of people asked, you know, a lot of questions and were pretty interested in the story. So I figured I'd go ahead and go back, start at the beginning, and tell the whole thing up till, I don't know, I guess till about the time I moved out on my own. So in this video, I've got to kind of set the stage for everything that happened. Because there's, you know, several events, you know, my life kind of took some strange turns at several different points. So, I guess we'll start at the beginning. I was born in Los Angeles, California, Torrance. Mom and Dad, you know, I don't know how long they had been married. My mom had a daughter from a previous relationship before she married my dad, who was 2 years older than me, so there's 2 years unaccounted for. And I have a little brother a year younger than me, so there's another year, so I don't know, they might have been married 3 or 4 years. And they got divorced, and as far as I can remember back, they were divorced. I don't have any memories of my parents together. And I lived with my mom, and this is all from memory. You know, I can remember things from that far back. I don't have any memories of my brother or sister living with us at my mom's house. I remember them, but I can't remember, you know, I don't remember them living with us. I obviously knew my dad and could recognize him on sight, you know, so apparently I had some sort of relationship with my dad at this time. But pretty much everything I remember with my mom was just me and her. So one of my first memories of her, I can remember, like, leaving me in the car. She'd get out of the car and say, you know, wait here, I'll be right back. And I remember, you know, like being gone forever. And, you know, you're a little kid in a car in Los Angeles. You know, it can be scary. And I can remember, like, you know, ducking down and hiding in the floorboard whenever I'd see somebody coming, you know, to walk past the car so they wouldn't see that I was in there. And I can remember, you know, just being there for so long and, like, memorizing every line on the sign, and the Travelodge bear, you know, with his nightcap and gown for the Travelodge Hotel mascot they used at that time. And that would come into play years later when I would find out that, you know, my mother had gotten into prostitution and stuff. And so that explained why I was, you know, left in a car at a hotel for a long period of time. And so a lot of the things I'm going to say in this video, like I said, they will come into play later in the story. They'll show their relevance later. So, about the only other memory I have of my mom, I can remember her taking me to a it was kind of like a strip mall type building. It was like L-shaped and had at least 2 businesses in it that I can remember. One was a laundromat and the other was a bar. I can remember taking me into the bar and setting me on the bar stool and telling me she was going to the laundromat and she'd be right back and not to move. And she left, and that was the last I ever saw of her. And then she apparently called my dad, who came and got me. I don't know how long I was at the bar. I remember being there. And the bartender, let me play a little game that they had in the bar and, giving me sodas and stuff. So I remember my dad coming, and I was excited to see him. Like I said, I knew him on site, so I obviously had some kind of relationship with my dad, and I was really excited about going to live with him. He told me I was going to come live with him. And I don't know if my stepsister and little brother lived with him already or what, but next thing I know, we're all together living with my dad. Yeah, this happened when I was 3. I know because I had a birthday and a Christmas, which my birthday is near Christmas. I don't remember the birthday. I remember the Christmas, so obviously I had a birthday. And so I remember things like before and after that Christmas. And so we lived there, and life was pretty good. He had a live-in girlfriend, and she was on the mean side. I remember she used to beat the hell out of us and just do, crazy things. Like apparently I had a bedwetting problem at one time, and so I had to sleep naked in the bathtub with a mop for a pillow. She'd do things like that, and I can remember her trying to force feed me vegetable soup, which to this day I can't eat vegetable soup. And I can remember telling her I didn't like it, and she's, one of them, you're going to eat it and you're going to like it. And she was trying to force feed me this vegetable soup, and I vomited in it, and she's like, you're going to eat it anyway. Keep eating it, and force fed me that as well. And so, those kind of experiences kind of stick with you. But other than that, life with my dad was pretty good. We'd go to Disneyland, SeaWorld, the park, we'd go camping. We just had a lot of fun. I can remember him, playing with us kids, playing street ball, stuff like that. And we had, aunts and uncles. We had an aunt and uncle who lived in the Imperial Valley, and another set of aunt and uncles that lived up in the Pismo Beach area. And life was pretty good. We'd all get together, go camping and stuff. And this went on for, I guess maybe a year or so. And I was in some sort of preschool or kindergarten or something at 4. And I would walk myself to school, in Los Angeles. It's a couple blocks away. And, my dad would be gone for work by the time I would get up. And he'd always leave me, his cup, last of his coffee in his cup. He'd leave it sitting on the table for me. I'd have a little bit in it with the residue from his sugar cube still in it. That's sweet, so kids like that. And I can remember getting up for school one day, and he was asleep on the couch. And so I was like, oh, Dad overslept. So I went over to wake him up, and, I couldn't get him to wake up. I don't know how long I tried. And so eventually, I gave up and went and got his girlfriend, woke her up, and said, hey, Dad didn't go to work today, and I can't wake him up. So she came out to see what was going on, and I remember she lost her mind. It was a madhouse after that. He had apparently had a heart attack in the middle of the night sometime, and had died. And so I can remember all us kids, peeking around the corner while the paramedics were there doing their thing, and she was hysterical. And the next thing I remember after that was, all the family was there, at our house. And another aunt and uncle from Illinois had come, and this is the first time I had met them. And, so they're all, having a meeting, so they're deciding what's going to happen to us kids. And so it was apparently decided that I would go live with one aunt and uncle, and my brother and stepsister would go live with another aunt and uncle. And it just so happened these 2 aunt and uncles lived next door to each other up in Pismo Beach. So life wasn't bad there. It was, I just go next door to see my brother and my stepsister. We had a lot of fun, and they had kids, so there was a lot of cousins running around. And, we all, played and had a good time. Life there was pretty good. I don't remember any real bad experiences there at all. Until one day I was just woken up, it was a morning. I remember, getting me up out of bed, and they had a suitcase packed for me, and took me out to the car, and they brought my stepsister from the neighboring house out as well, and had her suitcase, and they drove us to LAX and put us on a plane and flew us to St. Louis, Missouri. And we were met there by the aunt and uncle from Illinois. And we were at that time informed that we were going to be living with them from now on. So life changed dramatically at that point. And that's where I'm going to end this video. And the only reason, like I said, what happened in this video is going to become relevant later. So that's why I kind of had to say this one. So stay tuned for the next episode and have a good day.